Dharma.
Dharma listen is a key concept with multiple meanings in the Indian religions Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism and Jainism. There is no single word translation for Dharma in Western languages. In Hinduism, Dharma signifies behaviors that are considered to be in accord with order that makes life and universe possible, and includes duties, rights, laws, conduct, virtues and right way of living. In Buddhism, Dharma means cosmic law and order, but is also applied to the teachings of the Buddha. In Buddhist philosophy, Dharma is also the term for phenomena. In Jainism, Dharma refers to the teachings of the Jainas and the body of doctrine pertaining to the purification and moral transformation of human beings. For Sikhs, the word Dharma means the path of righteousness. The classical Sanskrit noun dharma is a derivation from the root dhr, which has a meaning of to hold, maintain, keep. The word dharma was already in use in the historical Vedic religion, and its meaning and conceptual scope has evolved over several millennia. The antonym of dharma is adharma.
Etymology.
The classical Sanskrit noun dharma is a derivation from the root dhr, which has a meaning of to hold, maintain, keep, and takes a meaning of what is established or firm, and hence law. It is derived from an older Vedic Sanskrit n-stem dharman, with a literal meaning of bearer, supporter, in a religious sense conceived as an aspect of rta. In the Rig Veda, the word appears as an n-stem, dharman, with a range of meanings encompassing something established or firm, in the literal sense of prods or poles. Figuratively, it means sustainer, and supporter, of deities. It is semantically similar to the Greek ethos, fixed decree, statute, law. In classical Sanskrit, the noun becomes thematic, dharma. The word dharma derives from Proto-Indo-European root dker, to hold, which in Sanskrit is reflected as class 1 root. Dhr. Etymologically it is related to avastan. Da, to hold, Latin phrenum, rein, horse tack, Lithuanian diriti, to be suited, fit, Lithuanian derm, agreement, dana, harmony and Old Church Slavonic drivers arti, to hold, possess. Classical Sanskrit word dharmas would formally match with Latin o-stem firmus Proto-Indo-European dkermos holding, were it not for its historical development from earlier Rig Vedic n-stem. In classical Sanskrit, and in the Vedic Sanskrit of the Atharva Veda, the stem is thematic, dharma, devanagari, dhrm. In Pali, it is rendered dhamma. In some contemporary Indian languages and dialects it alternately occurs as dharm.
Definition.
Dharma is a concept of central importance in Indian philosophy and religion. It has multiple meanings in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. It is difficult to provide a single concise definition for Dharma, as the word has a long and varied history and straddles a complex set of meanings and interpretations. There is no equivalent single-word translation for Dharma in Western languages. There have been numerous, conflicting attempts to translate ancient Sanskrit literature with the word Dharma into German, English and French. The concept, claims Paul Horsch, has caused exceptional difficulties for modern commentators and translators. For example, while Grassmann translation of Rig Veda identifies 7 different meanings of Dharma, Carl Friedrich Geldner in his translation of the Rig Veda employs 20 different translations for Dharma, including meanings such as law, order, duty, custom, quality, model, among others. Dharma roots is dhri, which means to support, hold, or bear. It is the thing that regulates the course of change by not participating in change, but that principle which remains constant. Monier Williams, the widely cited resource for definitions and explanation of Sanskrit words and concepts of Hinduism, offers numerous definitions of the word dharma, such as that which is established or firm, steadfast decree, statute, law, practice, custom, duty, right, justice, virtue, morality, ethics, religion, religious merit, good works, nature, character, quality, property. Yet, each of these definitions is incomplete, while combination of these translations do not convey the total sense of the word. In common parlance, Dharma means right way of living and path of righteousness. The meaning of word Dharma depends on the context, and its meaning evolved as ideas of Hinduism developed over its long history. In earliest texts and ancient myths of Hinduism, Dharma meant cosmic law, the rules that created the universe from chaos, as well as rituals. In later Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas and the epics, the meaning became refined, richer, complex and the word Dharma was applied to diverse contexts. In certain contexts, Dharma designates human behaviors considered necessary for order of things in the universe, principles that prevent chaos, behaviors and action necessary to all life in nature, society, family as well as at the individual level. Dharma encompasses ideas such as duty, rights, character, vocation, religion, customs and all behavior considered appropriate, correct or morally upright. The antonym of Dharma is adharma, Sanskrit, adma, meaning that which is not Dharma. As with Dharma, the word adharma includes and implies many ideas. In common parlance, adharma means that which is against nature, immoral, unethical, wrong or unlawful. In Buddhism and Jainism, Dharma incorporates the teachings and doctrines of the founders of Buddhism and Jainism, the Buddha and Mahavira.
History.
According to Paul Horsch, the word Dharma has its origin in the myths of Vedic Hinduism. The gods, claim the hymns of the Rigveda, create the universe from chaos, they hold, draw the earth and sun and stars apart, they support, draw the sky away and distinct from earth, and they stabilize, draw the quaking mountains and plains. The gods, mainly Indra, then deliver and hold order from disorder, harmony from chaos, stability from instability, actions recited in the Veda with the root of word Dharma. In hymns composed after the mythological verses, the word Dharma takes expanded meaning as a cosmic principle and appears in verses independent of gods. It evolves into a concept, claims Paul Horsch, that has a dynamic functional sense in Atharva Veda for example, where it becomes the cosmic law that links cause and effect through a subject. Dharma, in these ancient texts, also takes a ritual meaning. The ritual is connected to the cosmic, and tamani is equated to ceremonial devotion to the principles that gods use to create order from disorder, the world from chaos. Past the ritual and cosmic sense of Dharma that link the current world to mythical universe, the concept extends to ethical social sense that links human beings to each other and to other life forms. It is here that Dharma as a concept of law emerges in Hinduism. Dharma and related words are found in the oldest Vedic literature of Hinduism, in later Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, and the epics. The word Dharma also plays a central role in the literature of other Indian religions founded later, such as Buddhism and Jainism. According to Puritan, Dharma occurs 63 times in Rig Veda. In addition, words related to Dharma also appear in Rig Veda, for example once as Dharmakt, 6 times as Satyadharman, and once as Dharmavant, 4 times as Dharman and twice as Dhariman. There is no Iranian equivalent in Old Persian for Dharma, suggesting the word Dharman had origins in Indo-Aryan culture outside of Persia, or it is a concept that is indigenous to India. However, ideas and parts overlapping to Dharma are found in other ancient cultures, such as Chinese Tao, Egyptian Ma'at, Sumerian Me.
Eusebia and Dharma.
In mid-20th century, an inscription of the Indian Emperor Asoka from the year 258 BC was discovered in Afghanistan. This rock inscription contains Sanskrit, Aramaic and Greek text. According to Paul Hacker, on the rock appears a Greek rendering for the Sanskrit word Dharma, the word eusebia. Scholars of Hellenistic Greece explain eusebia as a complex concept. Eusebia means not only to venerate gods, but also spiritual maturity, a reverential attitude toward life, and includes the right conduct toward one's parents, siblings and children, the right conduct between husband and wife, and the conduct between biologically unrelated people. This rock inscription, concludes Paul Hacker, suggests Dharma in India, about 2300 years ago, was a central concept and meant not only religious ideas, but ideas of right, of good, of one's duty toward the human community.
RTA, Maya and Dharma.
The evolving literature of Hinduism linked Dharma to two other important concepts, RTA and Maya. RTA in Vedas is the truth and cosmic principle which regulates and coordinates the operation of the universe and everything within it. Maya in Rig Veda and later literature means illusion, fraud, deception, magic that misleads and creates disorder, thus is contrary to reality, laws and rules that establish order, predictability and harmony. Paul Horsch suggests RTA and Dharma were parallel concepts, the former being a cosmic principle, the latter being of moral social sphere. While Maya and Dharma are also analogous concepts, the former being that which corrupts law and moral life, the later being that which strengthens law and moral life. Day proposes Dharma is a manifestation of RTA, but suggests RTA may have been subsumed into a more complex concept of Dharma, as the idea developed in ancient India over time in a nonlinear manner. The following verse from the Rig Veda is an example where RTA and Dharma were linked.
Hinduism.
Dharma in Hinduism is an organizing principle that applies to human beings in solitude, in their interaction with human beings and nature, as well as between inanimate objects, to all of cosmos and its parts. It refers to the order and customs which make life and universe possible, and includes behaviors, rituals, rules that govern society, and ethics. Hindu Dharma includes the religious duties, moral rights and duties of each individual, as well as behaviors that enable social order, right conduct, and those that are virtuous. Dharma, according to Van Buitenen, is that which all existing beings must accept and respect to sustain harmony and order in the world. It is neither the act nor the result, but the natural laws that guide the act and create the result to prevent chaos in the world. It is innate characteristic, that makes the being what it is. It is, claims Van Buitenen, the pursuit and execution of one's nature and true calling, thus playing one's role in cosmic concert. In Hinduism, it is the Dharma of the bee to make honey, of cow to give milk, of sun to radiate sunshine, of river to flow. In terms of humanity, Dharma is the needful, the effective and essence of service and interconnectedness of all life.
Dharma in Vedas and Upanishads.
The history section of this article discusses the development of Dharma concept in Vedas. This development continued in the Upanishads and later ancient scripts of Hinduism. In Upanishads, the concept of Dharma continues as universal principle of law, order, harmony, and truth. It acts as the regulatory moral principle of the universe. It is equated to Sat, truth, the reality.
Dharma in the epics.
The Hindu religion and philosophy, claims Daniel Ingle, places major emphasis on individual practical morality. In the Sanskrit epics, this concern is omnipresent. In the second book of Ramayana, for example, a peasant asks the king to do what Dharma morally requires of him, the king agrees and does so even though his compliance with the law of Dharma costs him dearly. Similarly, Dharma is at the center of all major events in the life of Rama, Sita and Lakshman in Ramayana, claims Daniel Ingle. Each episode of Ramayana presents life situations and ethical questions in symbolic terms. The issue is debated by the characters, finally the right prevails over wrong, the good over evil. For this reason, in Hindu epics, the good, morally upright, law-abiding king is referred to Dharmaraja. In Mahabharata, the other major Indian epic, similarly, Dharma is central, and it is presented with symbolism and metaphors. Near the end of the epic, the god Yama, referred to as Dharma in the text, is portrayed as taking the form of a dog to test the compassion of Yudhisthira, who is told he may not enter paradise with such an animal, but refuses to abandon his companion, for which decision he is then praised by Dharma. The value and appeal of the Mahabharata is not as much in its complex and rushed presentation of metaphysics in the 12th book, claims Ingle, because Indian metaphysics is more eloquently presented in other Sanskrit scripts. The appeal of Mahabharata, like Ramayana, is in its presentation of a series of moral problems and life situations to which there are usually three answers given. According to Ingle, one answer is of prema, which is the answer of brute force, an individual angle representing materialism, egoism and self. The second answer is of Eadhisthira, which is always an appeal to piety and gods, of social virtue and of tradition. The third answer is of introspective Arjuna, which falls between the two extremes, and who claims Ingal, symbolically reveals the finest moral qualities of man. The epics of Hinduism are a symbolic treatise about life, virtues, customs, morals, ethics, law and other aspects of Dharma. There is extensive discussion of Dharma at the individual level, in the epics of Hinduism, observes Ingal. For example, on free will versus destiny, when and why human beings believe in either, ultimately concluding that the strong and prosperous naturally uphold free will, while those facing grief or frustration naturally lean towards destiny. The epics of Hinduism illustrate various aspects of Dharma. They are a means of communicating Dharma with metaphors.
Dharma according to 4th century Vatsyayana.
According to Klaus Klostermaier, 4th century Hindu scholar Vatsyayana explained Dharma by contrasting it with Adharma. Vatsyayana suggested that Dharma is not merely in one's actions, but also in words one speaks or writes, and in thought. According to Vatsyayana, Adharma of body, himsa, violence, stya, steal, theft, pratisada mithuna, sexual indulgence with someone other than one's partner, dharma of body, dana, charity, paritrana, succor of the distressed, and parikarana, rendering service to others, adharma from words one speaks or writes, mithya, falsehood, parusa, caustic talk, swakana, calumny, and asambada, absurd talk, dharma from words one speaks or writes, satya, truth and facts, hitavakana, talking with good intention, prayavakana, gentle, kind talk, svadhyaya, recitation of scriptures, adharma of mind, paridraya, ill will to anyone, paradravayavipsa, covetousness, nastayakya, denial of the existence of the morals and religiosity, dharma of mind, daya, compassion, aspa, disinterestedness, and sraddha, faith in others.
Dharma according to Patanjali Yoga.
Dharma is part of yoga, suggests Patanjali. The elements of Hindu Dharma are the attributes, qualities and aspects of yoga. Patanjali explained Dharma in two categories, yama, restraints, and niyama, observances. The 5 yama, according to Patanjali, are, abstain from injury to all living creatures, ahimsa, abstain from falsehood, satya, abstain from unauthorized appropriation of things of value from another, akastrapavaka, abstain from coveting or sexually cheating on your partner, and abstain from expecting or accepting gifts from others. The 5 yama apply in action, speech and mind. In explaining yama, Patanjali clarifies that certain professions and situations may require qualification in conduct. For example, a fisherman must injure a fish, but he must attempt to do this with least trauma to fish, and the fisherman must try to injure no other creature as he fishes. The 5 niyama, observances, are cleanliness by eating pure food and removing impure thoughts such as arrogance or jealousy or pride, contentment in one's means, meditation and silent reflection regardless of circumstances one faces, study and pursuit of historic knowledge, and devotion of all actions to the Supreme Teacher to achieve perfection of concentration.
Sources of Dharma.
Dharma is an empirical and experiential inquiry for every man and woman, according to some texts of Hinduism. For example, Apastambadharma Sutra states. In other texts, 3 sources and means to discover Dharma in Hinduism are described. These, according to Paul Hacker, are, first, learning historical knowledge such as Vedas, Upanishads, the epics and other Sanskrit literature with the help of one's teacher. Second, observing the behavior and example of good people. The third source applies when neither one's education nor exemplary conduct is known. In this case, Atmatusti is the source of Dharma in Hinduism, that is the good person reflects and follows what satisfies his heart, his own inner feeling, what he feels driven to.
Dharma, life stages and social stratification.
some texts of Hinduism outline Dharma for society and at the individual level. Of these, the most cited one is Manusmriti, which describes the four Varnas, their rights and duties. Most texts of Hinduism, however, discuss Dharma with no mention of Varna, caste. Other Dharma texts and Smritis differ with Manusmriti on the nature and structure of Varnas. Yet, other texts question the very existence of Varna. Bhrigu, in the epics, for example, presents the theory that Dharma does not require any Varnas. In practice, medieval India is widely believed to be a socially stratified society, with each social strata inheriting a profession and being endogamous. Varna was not absolute in Hindu Dharma. Individuals had the right to renounce and leave their Varna, as well as their asramas of life, in search of moksha. While neither Manusmriti nor succeeding Smritis of Hinduism ever use the word Varnadharma, that is, the Dharma of Varnas, or Varnasramadharma, that is, the Dharma of Varnas and asramas, the scholarly commentary on Manusmriti use these words, and thus associate Dharma with Varna system of India. In 6th century India, even Buddhist kings called themselves protectors of Varnasramadharma, that is, Dharma of Varna and asramas of life. At the individual level, some texts of Hinduism outline four asramas, or stages of life as individuals' Dharma. These are, 1. Brahmacharya, the life of preparation as a student, 2. Kastha, the life of the householder with family and other social roles, 3. Vaunprastha or Aranyaka, the life of the forest dweller, transitioning from worldly occupations to reflection and renunciation, and 4. Sannyasa, the life of giving away all property, becoming a recluse and devotion to moksha, spiritual matters. The four stages of life complete the four human strivings in life, according to Hinduism. Dharma enables the individual to satisfy the striving for stability and order, a life that is lawful and harmonious, the striving to do the right thing, be good, be virtuous, earn religious merit, be helpful to others, interact successfully with society. The other three strivings are artha, the striving for means of life such as food, shelter, power, security, material wealth, etc. Kama, the striving for sex, desire, pleasure, love, emotional fulfillment, etc. And moksha, the striving for spiritual meaning, liberation from life rebirth cycle, self-realization in this life, etc. The four stages are neither independent nor exclusionary in Hindu Dharma.
Dharma and poverty.
Dharma, while being necessary for individual and society, is dependent on poverty and prosperity in a society, according to Hindu Dharma scriptures. For example, according to Adam Bowles, Shatapatha Brahmana 11.1.6.24 links social prosperity and Dharma through water. Waters come from rains, it claims. When rains are abundant there is prosperity on the earth, and this prosperity enables people to follow Dharma, moral and lawful life. In times of distress, of drought, of poverty, everything suffers including relations between human beings and the human ability to live according to Dharma. In Rajadharma Pavan 91.34-8, the relationship between poverty and Dharma reaches a full circle. A land with less moral and lawful life suffers distress, and as distress rises it causes more immoral and unlawful life, which further increases distress. Those in power must follow the Raja Dharma, that is, Dharma of rulers, because this enables the society and the individual to follow Dharma and achieve prosperity.
Dharma and law.
The notion of Dharma as duty or propriety is found in India's ancient legal and religious texts. In Hindu philosophy, justice, social harmony, and happiness requires that people live per Dharma. The Dharma Shastra is a record of these guidelines and rules. The available evidence suggests India once had a large collection of Dharma-related literature, sutras, shastras. 4 of the sutras survive and these are now referred to as Dharma Sutras. Along with laws of Manu in Dharma Sutras, exist parallel and different compendium of laws, such as the laws of Narada and other ancient scholars. These different and conflicting law books are neither exclusive, nor do they supersede other sources of Dharma in Hinduism. These Dharma sutras include instructions on education of the young, their rites of passage, customs, religious rites and rituals, marital rights and obligations, death and ancestral rites, laws and administration of justice, crimes, punishments, rules and types of evidence, duties of a king, as well as morality.
Buddhism.
In Buddhism, Dharma means cosmic law and order, but is also applied to the teachings of the Buddha. In Buddhist philosophy, Dharma is also the term for phenomena. Nastika Dharma is referred to in the Mahabharata as more attached to Buddhist practice, which draws upon the principles and disciplines of yoga to encourage equality and harmony among people, which promotes altruism. In East Asia, the translation for Dharma is Fa, pronounced Fa in Mandarin, Biap in Korean, Ho in Japanese, and Phap in Vietnamese. However, the term Dharma can also be transliterated from its original form.
Buddhist teachings.
For practicing Buddhists, references to Dharma, Dhamma in Pali, particularly as the Dharma, generally means the teachings of the Buddha, commonly known throughout the East as Buddha Dharma. The status of Dharma is regarded variably by different Buddhist traditions. Some regard it as an ultimate truth, or as the fount of all things which lies beyond the three realms, Sanskrit, Tridhartu, and the wheel of becoming, Sanskrit, Bhavacakra, somewhat like the pagan Greek and Christian logos. This is known as Dharmakaya, Sanskrit. Others, who regard the Buddha as simply an enlightened human being, see the Dharma as the essence of the 84,000 different aspects of the teaching, Tibetan, Troskobyad Krybzhi strong, that the Buddha gave to various types of people, based upon their individual propensities and capabilities. Dharma refers not only to the sayings of the Buddha, but also to the later traditions of interpretation and addition that the various schools of Buddhism have developed to help explain and to expand upon the Buddha's teachings. For others still, they see the Dharma as referring to the truth, or the ultimate reality of the way that things really are, Tib. Cho. The Dharma is one of the three jewels of Buddhism in which practitioners of Buddhism seek refuge, or that upon which one relies for his or her lasting happiness. The three jewels of Buddhism are the Buddha, meaning the mind's perfection of enlightenment, the Dharma, meaning the teachings and the methods of the Buddha, and the Sangha, meaning those awakened beings who provide guidance and support to followers of the Buddha.
Buddhist phenomenology.
Other uses include Dharma, normally spelled with a small d, to differentiate, which refers to a phenomenon or constituent factor of human experience. This was gradually expanded into a classification of constituents of the entire material and mental world. Rejecting the substantial existence of permanent entities which are qualified by possibly changing qualities, Buddhist Abhidharma philosophers enumerated lists of dharmas which varied by school. They came to propound that these constituent factors are the only type of entity that truly exists, and only some thinkers gave dharmas this kind of existence. This notion is of particular importance for the analysis of human experience, rather than assuming that mental states inhere in a cognizing subject, or a soul substance. Buddhist philosophers largely propose that mental states alone exist as momentary elements of consciousness, and that a subjective perceiver is assumed. One of the central tenets of Buddhism is the denial of a separate permanent I, and is outlined in the three marks of existence. Dukkha, suffering or unsatisfactoriness, Pali, dukkha; anicca, change impermanence, Pali; anicca, anatman, not self, Pali; anatta. At the heart of Buddhism is the understanding of all phenomena as dependently originated. Later, Buddhist philosophers like Nagarjuna would question whether the dharmas, momentary elements of consciousness, truly have a separate existence of their own. That is, do they exist apart from anything else? Rejecting any inherent reality to the dharmas, he asked, rhetorically.
Righteousness.
According to S.N. Goenka, a teacher of Vipassana meditation, the original meaning of Dhamma is Tarayati Dharma H, or one that contains, supports or upholds, and Dharma in the Buddhist scriptures has a variety of meanings, including phenomenon, and nature, or characteristic. Dharma also means mental contents, and is paired with citta, which means heart-mind. The pairing is paralleled with the combining of sharira, body, and vedana, feelings or sensations which arise within the body but are experienced through the mind, in major sutras such as the Mahasatipatthana Sutra. Dharma is also used to refer to the direct teachings of the Buddha, especially the discourses on the fundamental principles, such as the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, as opposed to the parables and to the poems.
East Asian Buddhism.
Dharma is employed in a specific context in relation to transmission of authentic doctrine, understanding and body. Recognized in Dharma transmission.
Jainism.
In Jainism, Dharma refers to the teachings of the Jainas. In Jainism, Dharma is natural. Acharya Samantabhadra writes, Vaichdhyasahavodamo, the Dharma is the nature of an object. It is the nature of the soul to be free, thus for the soul, the Dharma is paralaukika, beyond worldly. However, the nature of the body is to seek self-preservation and be engaged in pleasures. Thus there are two Dharmas. Acharya Haribhadra, c. 6th-7th centuries, discusses Dharma in Dharma Bindu. He writes, translation by Y. Malaria, Soamanusthatptattva vidu, kas the Dharma yati dharmas ka. Because of the difference in practice, Dharma is of two kinds, for the householders and for the monks. Tatrag has the Dharmo apidvivator, samaniyato visatas ka. Of the householders' Dharma, there are two kinds, ordinary, and special. Tatra Samanayatuk has the Dharma Kula Krama Gatam Anindyam, Vibhavadi Apekshayanayato Anusthanam. The ordinary Dharma of the householders should be carried out according to tradition, such that it is not objectionable, according to one's abilities such as wealth, in accordance with Nyaya, everyone treated fairly and according to laws. Somadeva Suri, 10th century, terms the ordinary and special dharmas laukika, worldly and pralaukika, extra-worldly respectively. For high dharma kasvanam, laukika, paralaukika, lokasrayo bhavdadayor, parasyadagarma asrara. A householder follows both laukika and the paralaukika dharmas at the same time.
Sikhism.
For Sikhs, the word Dham means the path of righteousness. What is the righteous path? That is the question that the Sikh scriptures attempt to answer. The main holy scriptures of the Sikhs is called the Guru Granth Sahib. It is considered to be more than a holy book of the Sikhs. The Sikhs treat this Granth, holy book, as a living guru. The holy text spans 1430 pages and contains the actual words spoken by the Sikh gurus and various other saints from other religions including Hinduism and Islam. Sikh Dharma is a distinct religion revealed through the teachings of 10 gurus who were accepted by the followers as if they were spiritually the same. The gurus are considered the divine light, and they conveyed Gurbani, the word of God, in the form of the Guru Granth Sahib to the world. The Guru Granth Sahib of the Sikhs rejects the Hindu systems of Dharma and Karma. In this faith, God is described as both Nirgun, transcendent, and Sargun, immanent. Further, God pervades in his creation and is omnipresent, but cannot be incarnate. The principal Sikh belief lays stress on one's actions and deeds rather than religious labels, rituals or outward appearance or signs. The primary object of a Sikh's life is to seek union with God and hence, liberation from the cycle of births and deaths, cycle of reincarnation, which is dictated by a person's thought, deeds and actions in this life. Liberation can be achieved through meditating on God, truthful living and sharing one's wealth in the context of a normal family life and through divine grace. Amrit Sanchar, a Sikh baptism for both men and women, was instituted in 1699 by Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th Guru. All Sikhs, on taking Amrit, are enjoined to lead a disciplined life by following a code of ethics leading to a saint-soldier way of life. In 1708, Guru Gobind Singh vested spiritual authority in the Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikh scriptures, as the eternal Guru, and hence Sikh Dharma acknowledges the end of human guruship. At the same time, the temporal authority was vested in the Khalsa Panth, a community of Sikhs who have taken Amrit. Other important aspects of a Sikh's life include Sewa, dedication to the service of God's creation, where the emphasis is often upon manual work, undertaking of goodwill towards other faiths and their followers, to defend for justice and assistance of the oppressed. In contrast to many other faiths, Sikhs believe that when all other means to achieve justice are exhausted, then it is just to wield the sword. Congregational worship includes the following: path, reading of the Holy Scriptures, kirtan, singing of shabads, hymns, langar, a communal vegetarian meal also called free kitchen is an important feature of the Sikh way of life, and food is served to everyone at the end of a Sikh service. Ardas, Sikhs conclude their prayers by doing the Ardas and invoking God's blessings on everyone, not just on Sikhs.
Scriptures and Dharma.
The Guru Granth Sahib lays down the foundation of this righteous path, and various salient points are found. Sikh is bound by Dharma, the followers of this faith are bound by Dharma as advocated in their holy scriptures. The committed Sikh is encouraged to follow this path at all times. The first recitation of the Guru Granth Sahib, called the Japji Sahib, says the following: "The path of the faithful shall never be blocked. The faithful shall depart with honor and fame. The faithful do not follow empty religious rituals. The faithful people are fully bound to do whatever the Dharma wants them to do. Such is the name of the Immaculate Lord. Only one who has faith comes to know such a state of mind." 14. Guru Granth Sahib Japji, page 3. Deeds are recorded, the person's thoughts and deeds are said to be recorded, and the faithful is warned that these will be read out in the presence of the Lord of Dharma. Two scribes called Jitra and Gupt, the angels of the conscious and the subconscious mind, are busy writing one's thought and deeds. On death, the soul of the person he brought before Lord of Dharma are these account are read out as recorded in this quote. Dharma administered by God. The scriptures further outline how the judge of Dharma administers justice depending on the way that one has conducted life on earth. The soul is either cleared, or subject to God's command depending on the review of the person history. The holy text says, "The righteous judge of Dharma, by the hukam of God's command, sits and administers true justice, and those followers who chant the name of the Lord are cleared as outlined thus. Her account is cleared by the righteous judge of Dharma, when she chants the name of the Lord, ha, ha."
Dharma in symbols.
The importance of Dharma to Indian sentiments is illustrated by India's decision in 1947 to include the symbol of Wheel of Dharma, the Dharma Chakra, as the central motif on its flag.